Hi everyone, it's Ray from Pro String. If you guessed today that we're doing another racket restringing tutorial, yeah, you got it right. At it again, once again, at it again. Just for you guys, eh? Breaking my neck, just for you guys. Now, for myself as well, something that I wanted to do. It's been a while, long time coming. Took me a very long time to buy a tripod. Don't ask me why. Why? I guess just too busy. Didn't feel it was the right time, but now is the right time. And as you can see, uploading videos almost daily, despite stringing 10 to 15 rackets a day probably. Guys, I'll be quiet now for a bit. Just so you guys can see, today's racket is the Wilson Blade V8. Wilson Blade 98 V8. Alright guys, 16-19 stringing pattern, 8 holes, 4 loops in the neck of the racket, 8 strings to each side of the racket on your mains, which is 16, 18 plus 8, 8 plus 8, 16. Already been a long morning. Coming up to 1:48 p.m. UK London time. So we start always from the bottom, go up and through and down as you've just seen me do. 8 to each side, like I've said, minus 1. We've already placed our first main, so we need to count 7 to each side. So we're just going to count one side though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to grab all that left over and we're going to just pull it through. And the other side, we just measure it with this side that we've measured. It's pretty straightforward stuff for now. Find yourself the middle if you haven't put your racket on your machine yet. Make sure it's in between the 2 loops to each side. And at the top, Wilson, on this racket at least, have a little small gray circle hole. I've just come off a badminton racket, so let's open up the clamps, find our right, very important guys, if you're stringing between squash, badminton and tennis, make sure you find yourself the right closure of the clamp. Just make sure you're not applying too much pressure and not too little, so where it's going to slide, or too much where you damage the string or mark the strings. Always hold your clamp up so it's in line. I haven't changed my tension. Schoolboy error. Sorry. 51 pounds of tension with the Pro String Nemesis 125. Yep, again. This is a LTA. It's a good national under 16 player, I believe. Uses our string. Used to use RPM Blast as well. Tried this, never went back. It's always a great sign for us. Again, 51 pounds of tension. If you want to know the kg, just divide 51 by 2.2 and you will have your tension in kilos. Make sure my camera is not doing anything suspicious and we're good. Yeah, fine. Sometimes not a lot of the times, happened to me once, but I just, for some reason, slight paranoia about my camera stopping, which actually happened 2 days ago, I think it was. Just randomly just stopped. Anyway, fine. All good in the hood. 3 strings to each side, guys. Stringing symmetrically, compensating your tension as always. Very smart thing to do. I've cleaned my clamps today, and I'm not entirely... That's not touching. I'm not 100% sure why this is making a little squeak. It could be from the WD-40, but it should do the opposite. Anyway, feels fine. It's just making a bit of noise, which it's fine. I'm sure it'll stop, or we'll have to add a little dash of WD-40 again. You know what? I'm going to do that now. Once I pull this string, I'll let it just pull for a moment. I know exactly where and what, not why, but where it's making that noise. Just putting on my, normally I don't use this, but seeing where I need to spray. It's quite a small, just position there, small place. I just need a touch. Fixed. There you go. All fixed. Sometimes when you clean your clamps and you remove everything and just putting everything back into place and stuff, just I did clean it, but sometimes there's certain parts where you can't really get to, and despite my my efforts of trying to get in between the closure of the clamp, I'll show you. So I just sprayed just in here. That's where the noise is coming from every time I close it. So despite cleaning it, maybe a little bit of residue or God knows what from having cleaned it, it seems all fine now. Or maybe I just didn't clean it because it's very hard to get to that. Maybe I didn't clean it properly, or the whole clamp opens up into two pieces, by the way. So the teeth, these teeth of the clamps just open up completely just by turning the wheel. So the wheel, the same wheel that opens and closes the clamp to change, to adapt to your different gauges or thicknesses of string, tends to, where was I going with that? I lost my wording. So yeah, no, it wasn't. That's I was trying to clean it, and there was just a small piece underneath where this part here, the lever that opens and closes, was quite dirty. But there was just some residue that just would not come off, and I think it just because I cleaned it very well. I guess there was a bit of oil keeping it working nicely, and I guess I just needed to add a touch more of oil, WD-40 in this case. Right guys, last main string. As you could see, I did 3 to each side, and then 6, which I still have 6, and now I have 8. Obviously being 8, I just had to do 2 more. This is our best seller, Pro String Nemesis, actually. Again, I've upped my tension. Guys, 15 to 20% is the recommendation. Our Parnell knot. So we're tying our both sides the same. Don't go 7th and then tie it on the 8th. For example, 7th main, 7th main. Okay? There we go. Simple single knot. I'll try to do this one nice and slow. And then back through our first knot. And that is what's called the Parnell knot. So 7.5 lengths of the full racket from the grip to the top of the racket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. It's a good racket, guys, this Wilson blade. If you're looking for a little bit more control, if you're someone that doesn't want to hit, not that fussed about that much spin, definitely a good racket to go for. Slightly smaller sweet spot being a 98 square inch. Right, it doesn't matter if you start over or under, by the way. Coming up to 2 p.m. UK time, guys. UK London, based in West London. So as you can see, I'm not just going to pull my first weave. Weave is when you're putting strings over and under your main strings or your vertical strings. It just makes it easier, guys. It makes it easier if you just... What does it make it? It makes the weave easier if you string one ahead. So instead of just pulling this string, I now wait a moment, weave my next one. I actually thought I had done a Wilson blade, but it turns out it was the Wilson blade V8 101, the 100 square inch, 101 square inch racket. So I've had it quite a few times. I've actually been doing 3 of them today. 2 for this player that I'm stringing for now, and 1 for somebody else who I actually did some sparring with yesterday, sparring slash coaching. I'm still at that age, just about, where I can get down and dirty on the tennis court. Give some of those youngsters a good slapping, spanking, whatever you want to call it. I did play semi-pro level, played a few futures and stuff. Could win matches in qualies. I always get stuck in the last round of qualies, but then when I did play futures, I was already coaching, so I wasn't focusing on myself, so I was effectively going into pretty much semi-pro, pro level qualifiers in futures, and beating a few guys despite not really having any much, at least not much practice at all. Which you can't really do. Can't have like high expectations in tennis, at least if you're not practicing day and night, 3-4 hours a day. It's a very much feel sport. Every day is very different in the tennis world. May not look like it from the outside, but it definitely is. It's all about how you're feeling the ball on that day. And when I say how you're feeling the ball, I mean how you're feeling the ball against the strings. Excuse me. Tennis is a very much sensation, what kind of sensations you're going through or feeling on that day. But anyway. Excuse me, guys. Bit of a coughing fit. I do struggle in London. I don't know if it's actually over the years the pollution keeps going down every year. And I think it has done for quite a few years now. But yeah, of course, big cities and their pollution. I seem to always cough more here than when I'm in any other non-big city, really. Check the camera. Yeah, we're good. Oh wow, 14 minutes only. Guys, I'm not trying to impress anybody, by the way. I'm just stringing at my own rhythm. I do have quite a few rackets to get through, but I'm on target. So I'm not trying to rush through this. I'm just going at my normal, average, non-pressured, I guess, speed. There are days that I have more pressure. I need to string a little bit quicker. But it's not often where I'm having to really rush This is kind of my default speed, I would say. When I'm doing rackets easily under 20 minutes. Of course, if I'm doing a little bit of a tutorial and explaining things, then it will take me a little bit longer. Adds a few minutes at least, which is fine because I'll only upload one of every racket that we get pretty much. Won't be doing repeats. Makes no sense, as you'd imagine. Also, a little advice: when you have your fixtures at the bottom of the racket, just a second. So for example, let's say the angle, okay, this is quite obvious here that just you go through, but if it's quite closer than this, for example, don't pull the string like that against the fixture. You want to always stay away from your fixtures or your mounting system pieces. See, like that. I don't like that. So here I'll use my very nice blocking system that I have on this Wilson Gallardo original, and nice and straight. It might have been touching ever so slightly, but what I could have done is gone through this side instead of there. The hole's actually on this side, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be straight, because depending where you are on the racket, how it curves, rackets have the curves. So here obviously you're fine, and bottom and top fine as well, but when it comes to the curvature of the racket, then it's not so straight with the tension head. So if you have a blocking system on your base of your stringing machine, then highly advise using it. Right guys, coming up to our last weave. So on ahead, I'm not going to pull the string through because I probably won't have enough. It's fine though, because the majority of the string is already through, which I'm happy with. Sometimes when there's not much string, it's very hard to, there you go, pull with the hands. Guys, stringing takes, it has its own, it's got its own art to it. Right, it takes time to learn this. I'm teaching somebody currently and I don't know if they're coming back. Up your tension on the last cross. My clamp is close to the grommet, close to the racket frame in itself, but it's not touching either the grommet or the racket, which I always recommend. Clamps should not be touching anything, any part of the racket, or stringing machine for that matter. It's close, but as you can see, might not be able to see that clearly, but there's a little gap, which is fine with. You want to put your clamp as close as possible to the grommet without touching though. There's nothing wrong if I would have put it this tooth, if I would have put it on that side where that one is, still would have been absolutely fine. But for tension loss purposes, then that's why I put it there. So, well, if I can get close without touching and it doesn't affect anything, then we're good. There you have it, guys. Wilson Blade 98, 1619, 305 grams, V8, which means version 8, completed. Another one for the books. All right, guys. Straighten up your strings. Hopefully there's not too much you need to straighten up. That's always a good indication that you're doing a good job. Obviously, if you have to move lots of strings around to straighten them up, that will cause tension loss. So keep that in mind when you're stringing your crosses, as you would have seen in my video. Support every single pull you do. Every string that gets tightened, just slightly support it. Make sure it stays in its place, nice and straight. Looks good. Doesn't avoid tension loss at the end when you're moving them around. But there you have it, guys. All right. Well, hopefully there was some valid stuff in there for you guys. And of course, as always, let us know where you're watching from. Any feedback, any questions, please feel free. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye. Happy stringing.